There is a power within you. It lifts your life to its highest level. It brings success, happiness, peace of mind, companionship, health, and every good thing that you desire. As you tap into this power, it will respond to you because this power is within you. And that's why spirituality rocks. Welcome. I'm your host, Janine Burns. Welcome to Spirituality Rocks. This week we have an exciting show because we are featuring Christina Gochin from the Daniel Gale Agency over in Cold Spring Harbor on Long Island, and Reverend Bill Marchiony from New Thought in Philadelphia, who wrote the book, Practical Prayer for Real Results. Oliver Wendell Holmes said, "A mind stretched to a new idea can never go back to its original dimensions." Can never go back to its original dimensions. Well, the idea that I want to stretch your mind tonight is that you are a creative being. The universe seeks to express in you, through you, and as you. And that's what we teach on our show, Spirituality Rocks. We teach practical spirituality. We teach new thought principles. New thought principles teach that the power of God is within you, that it's an active power, spirit, infinite intelligence, God, whatever you choose to call this power, and that your thoughts and attitudes affect your life experience. In fact, your thoughts held in mind produce after their kind, and so your thoughts and ideas will attract people, circumstances, and events into your lives. So you are a creative being. And this power actually seeks to express in you, through you, and as you. I've told you many times before that the two main aspects of this power are love and wisdom. Love is the energy, the glue that connects the universe, and wisdom is your direct inheritance from this creative power. You can always get the divine ideas that you need. And so once a mind is stretched, it can never go back to its original dimensions. And as a creative spiritual being, there's that within you that seeks greater expression. The movement of spirit within you is urging you and nudging you forward to be more, to do more, to express more. And so in New Thought, we believe that it's of critical importance to explore the idea of your spiritual identity, to have a greater understanding about the presence and power of spirit, that it's light, life, love. This power is peace, power, it's beauty, and it's joy, and to understand that this power expresses through you and as you, and that you can consciously identify with this power. And knowing all this, it's important to practice what I like to call essential self-care. And we're going to be talking about tips about this over the next few weeks. Today we're talking particularly about positive prayer, practical prayer. And when we talk about essential self-care, I want to give you the metaphor. And the metaphor is, think about when you're on a plane and they offer you the safety instructions. And they say, in the event of an emergency, an oxygen mask will drop down. And we're instructed to put the oxygen mask on us first, and then on a child or a baby or anyone around us that needs help. And if we help another before we help ourselves, what happens is we are actually in danger of not having enough oxygen ourselves. And then you'll pass out, and you're not able to assist anybody because you can't assist yourself, so you can't assist anybody else. And so, as students of New Thought principles, it behooves us to put our oxygen mask on ourselves first and practice essential self-care. And I have some tips for you. And what's interesting, I was speaking to one of our guests today, and what he was talking about is how the things that are not important in our lives, we have a tendency to fixate upon them. We are worried about stuff in the future. We're not living in the now moment and paying attention to what's in front of us. That's our first tip. Pay attention to what's in front of you. And always make the next best choice. Whatever your circumstances are before you, make the next best choice and do the next right thing. Perhaps your next choice is between completing a task or maybe taking a nap. Well, what's the next best choice? Only you will know, and do whatever that is. Make the best next choice and do the next right thing. And what you do is you take a gut check, go within, and pause to listen to your intuition. Follow your inner knowing, because there was that within you that will guide you to the next best step. And then you'll experience ease and save lots of time. And isn't that all what we want? We all want time because we live in this stressed out world and this world of electronics. And so then that leads us into avoiding unnecessary stress. Learn to say no when appropriate. Refuse to add additional responsibilities on your to-do list. Cut down on your to-do list. Determine what things that you should be doing from those things that are necessary to your well-being. And also, avoid people who stress you out by either limiting the time you spend with them or by ending the relationship completely. And what naturally happens when you begin to think positive and you begin to change your thinking and change your life, people who aren't of the same mindset, people who aren't of the same ilk, they just sort of slip out of your life. That's just the way it is and just the way it goes. I also offer you this tip to set reasonable goals and standards for yourself. Stop setting yourself up for failure by demanding perfection. Learn to be okay when things are good enough. And this also applies for setting standards for those who are in your immediate circle, in your relationships and in your work setting. And then do the best you can and just let go. Just do the best you can and let go. And the most important tip is to plug into your spiritual source. Take time every day for affirmations and for meditation, quieting your mind. Take time to nourish your spirit with prayer. We're going to talk all about prayer today, and maybe not the typical type of prayer that you're used to, where we've been taught to beg, cajole, beseech, or plead a power outside of us to do something for us. We're going to talk about essential prayer, practical prayer that gets results by learning to turn on and tune in to the power within you. So right after this commercial break, I invite you to stick around and join me as I bring on Reverend Bill Marchiony, who wrote the book Practical Prayer for Real Results, and Christina Gochin of the Daniel Gale Agency as we explore these ideas and explore the possibility. We'll be right back.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully, I follow my inner guidance. Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely.
Hey, I'm Tom Mealy from the Harrison Law Group. You know, soft tissue injury, that's no joke. This is what we do. We're not new at this game. Don't waste valuable time going to firms who don't get it and can't do it. Call 1-800-INJURY-LAW.
Huntington Toyota, the experience of a lifetime. Don't take our word for it.
The experience for me at Huntington Toyota made me feel very comfortable.
Their professionalism, their honesty, and their integrity. I've bought at least 9 or 10 cars here at Huntington Toyota. They give me the best price around.
It never was about high pressure. It never was about them. It was always about us.
Today's cars are very similar, but Huntington Toyota is very different.
Huntington Toyota, where it's all about you.
Are you planning an event and want to include entertainment, but you're not sure where to turn? Act1Entertainment.net has provided over 1,500 events with quality, affordable live entertainment at private parties, corporate affairs, festivals, bike rallies, and more. Act 1 will fit into your budget. They're friendly, reliable, and do all the legwork for you. They take all major credit cards. Log on to Act1Entertainment.net for a free, no-obligation price quote, or call 631-758-3505 for a brochure. You'll be happy you did.
For professional motorcycle transport and towing, think Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing. Proudly serving all of Long Island, we feature expert handling and 24/7 service. So send a limo for your toy with Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully, I follow my inner guidance. Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely.
Welcome back to Spirituality Rocks. I'm your host, Janine Burns. I am an interfaith chaplain. I provide spiritual services to people who don't belong to a particular temple or house of worship. I perform lots of wedding ceremonies. I do celebration of life memorial services. And besides doing that service, I also help people who are in crisis. So if you want to get in touch with me, you can reach me at youarethelight.org, www.youarethelight.org, and I'm happy to support you. I also want to offer you our post office box, which is Post Office Box 472 in Woodbury, New York, because if you send us a self-addressed stamped envelope, we will send you some information that you can support yourself in your spiritual journey as you learn how to turn on and tune in to the power within you, and as you learn to change your thinking, and you will change your life. Well, today I have two fantastic guests. We have on Skype with us from Philadelphia, Reverend Bill Marchiony, who wrote this book, Practical Prayer for Real Results. Welcome to the show, Bill.
Thank you, Reverend Janine. It's great to be here.
Great, thank you. Please call me Janine. I appreciate that. And in the studio, this is Christina Goshen. She's a very successful real estate agent from the Daniel Gale Agency in Cold Spring Harbor, Long Island. Welcome, Christina. Welcome back.
Thank you, Janine. Glad to be here.
I think this is your third time on our show.
I think so. Maybe it'll be a charming time.
I'm sure it is, as it is always. So as I open the show, I talk to the viewers about essential self-care. Essential self-care. And there's so many ways that we can practice essential self-care. And one of the things I really like was make the next best choice and step in the direction of what you see as the next best choice. We need to pay attention to synchronicity. We need to pay attention. You know, if you open a door and it seems hard to open, things aren't going in your direction, well, what is the next best choice? What's the next best decision? Step in that direction. Christina, we're of course going to do this as a discussion format. Please comment.
Well, it's very interesting. You know, in real estate, obviously, there's a lot of deals that get done, and there are a lot of deals that don't. And I find that the most successful agents, the one that really find it a rewarding career and not an exhausting career, are the ones that can decide which deals really are meant to be.
Okay.
And you can see, kind of like your door analogy, you can see when it starts to become too much work. You can see when both parties start to get broken down. You can see when the deal is going cold. And it's all because really in the grand cosmic scheme of things, it was never meant to be to begin with.
Right.
So my job, obviously, is to steer someone toward, well, not to steer because that's a terrible word in real estate, but to guide someone toward the next best thing, which at the end of the day, as I see them out at parties and they're all moved into their new home, would say, you know, I'm really glad that first deal didn't work out because I'm so happy where I'm at right now.
I like that. You know, in New Thought, we like to make this distinction between if something is a problem or a challenge. Because when you say challenge, it infers opportunities and possibilities. But when things start to, like you said, the door is closed, things start to become a problem, and it's not quite, you're not in the flow and things aren't happening, then you know it's time to take a look in the other direction. And also, that's a time to pray. And when we talk about prayer and New Thought, we are talking about practical prayer. And I'm excited about practical prayer in this book that Bill wrote. I read the whole book, and I think it's wonderful. Bill, I know the book is available on Amazon, so I want to let the people know about that. But tell us, what exactly is practical prayer?
Well, practical prayer isn't anything that we invented. In fact, practical prayer is something that has been around pretty much since the beginning of time. And in New Thought circles, actually, Dr. Ernest Holmes, who was the founder of Science of Mind and wrote the book by the same title, he went through all of the spiritual practices and religions throughout history and found that the really powerful, really effective prayers in all of them followed the same formula. So a practical prayer is one that follows the formula that everybody has been doing. You find them in Christianity, in Judaism, in Islam, in all of the practices, throughout history. And it's not that there is a specific incantation. It's not like the words have any magical power. It's the process of attuning ourselves to the infinite power that exists everywhere and that's within us, and then speaking from that place of power in a way that the universe can give us the response that we're looking for.
That's wonderful, and I think that's very clear, because I think when people traditionally pray, you know, they start to beg. You know, oh God, please do this, oh God, help me, rather than really declaring and affirming their understanding that there is this amazing energy, intelligence, and power, and identifying with it. Fantastic. I love your definition. I look forward to talking more about practical prayer for real results right after this commercial break. We'll be right back with Spirituality Rocks.
peacefully, joyfully. I am divinely guided, peacefully, joyfully. I follow my inner guidance, peacefully, joyfully. I am
Old Spice body spray will make you feel so powerful to blow your mind right in front of your face. Goodbye. Oh no! Power!
Automatic freshness, softness, and static control has never been easier with the Bounce Dryer Bar. I just stick it to the inside of my dryer, and I never have to remember.
Oh, Old Spice body spray makes you smell like power! It's so powerful it sells itself in other people's commercials. You smell like outdoor freshness.
You smell like power.
Yeah, I do. Power! Power!
Try this routine to feel fresh and clean. Pair Charmin Fresh Mates with your Charmin.
Oh, Spice body spray is too powerful to stay in its own commercial. That's right. Power! Old Spice body spray can change a regular smelling man into a man who smells like power!
Now, how is this? Wow, you know what? I actually do feel more powerful.
Potato chips! Power! It's me.
Welcome back to Spirituality Rocks. I'm your host, Janine Burns, teaching you new thought principles. Delighted to be here today in the studio with Christina Gochin. And we have on Skype from Philadelphia, Reverend Bill Marchiony. So the question I have for you is this: why sometimes our prayers seem to be answered or they're not answered? Bill, why don't you take that one?
It's a great question, Janine. And as far as we're concerned, the prayers are always answered. It's just they're being answered in the way that they're being stated. It's not a matter of language. It's a matter of intention and belief. All these religions say it's done unto you as you believe. So what we're looking for in the prayer is to get in touch with our belief and extend our believability that we can have something more, and then ask for what we're looking for or state the intention of what we're looking for, so when the universe gives us the only answer the universe always gives, we get what we're looking for. And the answer is always yes. If I say, I'm not going to get this, am I? Because I have doubt, the universe says yes, and I don't get it. That's the answer to my prayer. So what I need to do is be clear in myself of what it is that I'm willing to accept, what it is that I'm willing to embody, and then the universe says yes.
Can you give an example of, because I think that's so true. I think the language of prayer is one thing, and I think the intent of prayer is another. And I know sometimes, you go to church and you watch people say, for example, the 23rd Psalm or whatever, and it seems like most of the people really don't know what each one of those words means. They say it because it gives them comfort, but I don't know that they understand what that prayer is getting them.
It's really easy to misunderstand the language that's used in prayers, especially the ones that come out of Scripture, because some of them are really beautifully written, and some of them were from the time that they were written. They need to be interpreted. I mean, in the 23rd Psalm, it says, I walk through the shadow of the valley of death. And people think that's about death. I will fear no evil. That's what the line is. But the valley of the shadow of death is what's going to happen after life. The valley of the shadow of death is life. So during life, I will fear no evil. So that's a very affirmative prayer for I am going through my life without any fear. But most people hear it and they think that it's about death. That's why it's said at funerals so often.
Do you think most people pray with the intent to get something? Like you hear it all the time. Oh, dear God, please help me win the lotto because I have so many bills. And that's not exactly what they need.
Yeah, people pray as a last resort. And when we pray as a last resort, we've exhausted everything that we think is that we have control over. So now we're going to turn it over to God. And what's in there is the doubt. Well, I can't do it. Maybe there's some higher power, some big guy in the sky who can take care of it. But the whole thing about having a spiritual practice is to be in touch with that infinite power all the time and live our life from there. So we're always open to what the infinite is, what God has got next for us, and following that guidance, and turn to spirit first instead of with all of the doubt that we would bring to a situation. I mean, by the time you got all the bills, all you're thinking about is the bills rather than all the stuff you bought with the, that accrued them in the first place.
Right. Exactly. We get caught up in that. And, that's a significant point that you made, that it's all done unto us as we believe. And how do we keep our belief strong, though? I mean, what do we do to strengthen our belief?
As far as I'm concerned, one of the greatest things that we can do is get into an active prayer practice even when things are going well, to learn how to create a new experience when we don't feel like we've got everything on the line. One of the things that we do, there's a workshop that goes along with the practical prayer book, and one of the things we instruct people to do in the workshop and the classes that we teach is pray for something that seems completely insignificant. When I first learned to do this, we were praying for parking spaces and green lights, and it seems, wow, is God interested in me driving across town and getting all green lights? It's like, God is infinite. God's got plenty of time for that. You're not going to bore God. And the light is going to be green 50% of the time anyway. So when I drove across town and hit 17 green lights in a row, I said, there's something going on here.
Right. Yeah, I would do that all the time. We'd go into the conferences and I'd say, God goes before us and clears our way, making bright and safe our day. And then lights would just be green whoosh, the whole time. Well, I think it's also important. Now, I know you have steps, and the reason I know this is I took your workshop out in Phoenix. We were in Phoenix, and Bill offered the workshop that goes along with the book, and I was mesmerized because he had a mnemonic that went with the workshop and the book, and it is, are you ready to get results? So it was R-U-R-2-G-R. Are you ready to get results? And it was a wonderful mnemonic because it taught specific steps. And the first step for R was recognition. And perhaps we could go through the steps one by one. So tell us about recognition.
I always like to be a troublemaker, Janine, so I like to start with the third step, which is the realization of the affirmation step.
Okay.
Most people are familiar with affirmations, which is where we're saying the positive experience that I want to have in my life. Like, I'm experiencing perfect health, or I have plenty of money, or my perfect relationship. And affirmations are great because they help us to come to some clarity about the intention that we're having. But that's the third step in a prayer. The first one is recognition, as you said, and that's recognizing that it's not just me. There is an infinite creative power that has been creating everything since the very beginning of time. It's God, it's nature, it's spirit, it's the Big Bang, it's whatever our creation story is. There's some organization behind creation, and it created us. So the first step is to recognize that there's something big.
That there is this power, and to learn about it, to understand it. Okay, that's the first step. And the second is?
Regardless of what you call God or Spirit or the infinite in that first step, the second step is to say, since it created everything, it created me too. And since it created all of this through a conscious intention, and I have consciousness as well, then I must be able to speak with that same conscious intention and with that same creative authority that the infinite has been doing since the beginning of time with everything. I can do that with my experience right here and now. So that's me connecting my spiritual power with the infinite spiritual power. That's step number 2.
I love that. And what I love about that is so many people practice positive thinking. And they do their positive thinking there, but they crash and burn. Things don't go their way because they don't have that significant second step of identifying with the power.
Really connecting with what the creative power is. And I think that whole idea of connecting yourself with the positive energy is you taking control of it and you actually harnessing that power, the power within that we all have.
Absolutely. In the third step, Bill, which is called realization and affirmation. Now, I know people would come to me and they'd say, oh, there's one power and presence. It expresses through me as me. I am a millionaire. And they come to me and say, well, hey, I'm not a millionaire. I haven't been able to manifest. This doesn't work. Talk about this idea of expanding your consciousness to be able to receive your good.
Well, it's the whole idea that it's done unto you as you believe. And that's something that's in all the scriptures and all the religions going back as well. If I say I'm a millionaire, but I don't believe I'm a millionaire, I'm not going to get the results of the words. I'm going to get the results of my belief. It's not done what I claim, it's done what I believe. So the activity that we're involved in is to connect what's the outside edge of my belief. Do I believe that I can be prosperous? Do I believe that I can pay all of my bills? Do I believe that I can have a new car or a vacation house or whatever it happens to be? And identify what the level of our believability is. And when we put that into the prayer, then the universe is able to say yes, which is what we're looking for. If we have doubt about it, if we don't believe it, then the universe is going to give us what we believe.
It's interesting. I love this because, kids are often always saying, I want this, and, why can't I have $1 million? You go down to the bank and you just get it. And someone said to me, because they were questioning the power of prayer, is that, if you blindfolded yourself and you threw a dart at the dartboard, you might hit a bullseye, but your chances are so much better if you take the blindfold off. Meaning, God can help you, but you need to empower yourself with the creative steps to see yourself there. And in understanding the steps toward what you want, you do empower yourself. But there are steps. There are certainly steps.
Absolutely. It's like a baby needs to, learn to crawl before it can climb up and learn to toddle and walk. Absolutely. And I think that's such a significant point. And I'm wondering if we could have a specific example. I think you were quite articulate when you explained it, but let's take an example of someone who is perhaps setting a goal that is not within their vision. Bill?
You mean somebody who's done something where they don't believe that they're going to get it and the universe continues to not give it to them?
Yeah,
and how do they deal with the frustration? Because what they're not understanding is, in order to believe what you want to be, you really have to put the effort and the steps, and you have to have it inside before you can manifest it outside.
Right, and the bottom line is you need to understand that there is this awesome, incredible power that can do anything, and that you're one with it. So the first two steps of affirmative prayer, I believe, are the most important. I mean, you really need to take time and energy, do reading, studying, affirmation, so you can really imbue your consciousness with this idea. But then from there, you can't start out and saying, okay, I now have a 65-foot yacht, when your consciousness only believes that you can get a dinghy. Because, you start thinking, in the human experience, where am I going to get the money? How am I going to pay for the insurance? Where am I going to moor it? And blah, blah, blah. But when you've worked your consciousness and realized that the universe can, expressing through you, would give you all the ideas you need, and the universe will draw circumstances, events, the universe will bring that synchronicity, then you can then stretch your consciousness towards what you want to do. And
right. And the perfect example, we use real estate because the subject came up before. And real estate transactions, most people are only involved in a few of them in their lifetime. And if somebody is trying to sell their house and they've got it on the market and they've got it with the right realtor and they've got all of the pieces are seemingly put together properly, but one of the people who lives in that house really doesn't want to leave, the transaction, everything will fall apart. Everything will seem like it's going wrong. And it's not because their prayers aren't being answered. It's because they don't really want to leave the house. It is amazing to see how often when somebody sets their intention, I turn this home over to the next family to enjoy it, that the deal, they get an offer the day that the house gets listed and, for full value.
Boy, you are so right about that. And I've seen it happen over and over again. It's a real heartbreak. It's a heartbreak for the people who come in and fall in love with the house to suddenly realize that the owners, the present owners, haven't fallen out of love yet. And there is that seemingly tiny element of maybe indecision that can, it feels like a hair in their mouth today, but they choke on it when it comes time to do the deal. It's true. Yeah.
Well, it's always hard to let go. We live in the human experience. We use our five senses to navigate through life. So letting go, we sort of hold on tightly. There's a story that Dr. Emmett Fox would tell in one of his books, and it's called Bear Hugs Kettle. And it's a little bit of a creepy story, but it made a lot of sense. where the bear was out, at a campground, and these people had built a big fire, and there was a kettle over it with hot water in it, and it was spitting and sputtering and making sounds. They had gone off down to the beach and were down there, and the bear heard this noise and went to see what it was. And so it saw this bubbling water, and it went to pick it up. And what happened when it picked it up, it burned it. And what did it do when it burned it? It held it tighter and tighter and tighter, because that's what bears do when something is coming against it to hurt it. It holds it tighter, and that's what we do. We hold on to the circumstances in our thoughts, in our minds, that we don't want, rather than shifting our thinking into what we do want. And that's such a critical, important part of prayer, is once you've completed the prayer and you said your prayer, to keep your mind aligned with that which you've prayed for, and don't allow any appearances in the human experience to flip you back into the negativity, into the doubt, into the fear, into the consternation. And that's especially difficult when you're not feeling so hot.
Well, and it's also especially difficult in a society that capitalizes on that very thing. Marketers that offer money-back guarantees know that we hate to give back. We hate to give up anything that we've purchased, even if we hate it. So a money-back guarantee, most of the time, is not a detriment or a liability to any manufacturer or promoter at all. They know it.
Because we don't want to let go. We have the, we want to hold on. And so letting go is crucial. And then also this idea of keeping your minds tuned in, keeping your minds tuned into that which you choose to experience. Keep your eye on the prize and keep your eye on the goal. We're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to look at the rest of the steps of are you ready to get results, and really wind it up and pull it all together about practical prayer results. So we'll be back in just a few moments after these commercial breaks with Spirituality Rocks.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully, I follow my inner guidance. Peacefully, joyfully, I am
divinely. Welcome to Formula Auto Wash, where every day is a great day for a car wash. Open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. till 5:30 p.m. Sundays 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. Detailing packages for every budget, starting out at $29.99. 100% hand wash and detail centre. Hot air and microfiber brushes and mitts. Proudly using Ecolab Blue Coral soaps and waxes. Formula Auto Wash has served the community for over 30 years. Senior discounts all day, every day. Ladies' Day Wednesday, $3 off any wash. Early bird discount Monday through Thursday till 9:30 a.m. Check out our website, formulaautowash.com.
Like so many people, are your finances tight lately? Afraid to open your mail or even answer your phone? Well, take heart. You don't have to live like that. If you're 62 or older and own your own home, you can join the thousands of folks who have used safe and effective government-insured reverse mortgages. The government-insured reverse mortgages from Long Island's Senior Reverse Network allow you to stay in your home and turn equity into tax-free cash. Our government-insured reverse mortgages can eliminate mortgage payments, credit card balances, or just improve your lifestyle. Do yourself a favor and solve these problems now. Call the Senior Reverse Network, and our advisors will answer all of your questions about our reverse mortgage programs. We've helped scores of senior Long Island homeowners like you who now enjoy a worry-free retirement. Get the financial security and peace of mind you've dreamed about. Pick up the phone and call us at the Senior Reverse Network now to set up a free consultation.
Call 1-800-985-REVERSE. That's 1-800-985-7383.
One resident describes her horrifying experience when she first realized the complex was on fire.
I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Well, I woke up to go give me a cold pop. Then I thought somebody was barbecuing. I said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire. Then I ran out, I didn't grab no shoes or nothing, Jesus. I ran for my life. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time, ain't nobody got time, ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time, ain't nobody got time, ain't nobody got time for that. I said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire. I said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire. I said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire. Jesus, 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 it's a fire. Oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire. I said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire. I said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire. Jesus, 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 Jesus. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Welcome back to Spirituality Rocks. I'm your host, Janine Burns. And during the commercial, as we go into the commercial, it's called a bumper, and you hear one of my spiritual jingles. It goes like this: peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully, I follow my inner guidance. I created this CD of spiritual jingles when I used to be the leader of a spiritual community. Each week I would bring in affirmations for the people to learn, and I wanted them to get it and to have them swimming around in their head during the week. So I use music for manifesting, is what I like to call it. So I put the affirmations to music, and after a while my students bugged me so much that I recorded them, and they came out pretty well. This CD has actually sold well, and it's available to you. Right now we're having a little issue with PayPal on the website, but if you want to write us at Post Office Box 472 in Woodbury, New York, 11797, what we can do is you send us a self-addressed stamped envelope. We'll send you some information about practical spirituality. We will send you information on affirmative prayer. And the CD is $13, including shipping, so you can make a check out to the Guiding Light Foundation. We'd be happy to send that to you. We're talking about affirmative prayer, and in affirmative prayer, we do not beg, cajole, or plead a power outside of us to do something to us. Instead, we proclaim our oneness with the power of Spirit within us, and we declare with confidence and faith that all is in divine order. We speak using the present tense, and there's an attitude of expectancy that despite any appearances, despite any conditions to the contrary, that the power, the creative power of the universe is working to bring forth the particular good that we have in our request. And so with affirmative prayer, we have greater peace of mind and an optimistic attitude. And that is exactly what I am going to invite Reverend Bill Marchiony of New Thought Philadelphia, if he would do an affirmative prayer for us on the idea of an optimistic attitude and peace of mind. So,
okay.
Take it away, Bill.
I would love to. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually read one of the prayers that came out of the book, Practical Prayer for Real Result. This one is a prayer for highest and best with love and ease for all involved. It's on page 47. There's only love. Everything, everyone, everywhere is an idea born in the creative mind of God, now taking form in space and time. This sharing of creative energy is an act of pure love, so I know there is only love. I am that infinite love, taking form in a way that is uniquely me. Every person, each creature, and all activity is this infinite love taking definite form. There is only love. I know and affirm that each one viewing this broadcast, listening to this prayer, is now unfolding as the highest and best experience of their lives, which love and ease for me and for each one involved. There's no power or force that stands in opposition to this good. Any fear, doubt, or idea of hesitation dissipates immediately and permanently into the nothingness from which it came. there is only love. It's now appearing in my life as the highest and best, with love and ease for all of us. I'm grateful for it, thankful for the good that's now at hand. I am in gratitude for the law that allows me to create this wonderful new experience, and for the joyous way that it honors and elevates everyone involved. I release this word of truth into the infinite mind of God, knowing this good is already underway. And so it is.
And so it is. Fantastic. Thank you. Wonderful. So that's not your typical prayer that you would hear. When we have been talking about practical prayer, we've been talking about affirmative prayer, and that means making positive statements. And I noticed that as Reverend Bill presented that prayer, there were a lot of I am statements. And I think, Christina, we've talked about this. You're aware that in the Old Testament, when Moses said to God on Mount Oreb, "Who shall I say that sent me?" God said, "I am that I am." And if you take time to contemplate that and really get with that, I remember when I first heard that, I sat with that for weeks and weeks and weeks. I am that I am. That is your naming power. That's the power of God. That's a power of spirit within you. So when you're saying I am, you're basically saying it's my nature to be. You're basically saying that whatever you're attaching to those two words, you're decreeing and declaring that it be manifest in your life experience. And so it's important what we say when we say I am. I can't say, I am Christina, I am Bill. I can only say I am Janine. And it's critically important that whatever I attach to those two words, I am, they be words of truth. They be words of that which I choose to experience in my life, which is the part of the mnemonic, are you ready to get results? Step number 3, the realization. And that's the step of I know. And sometimes when we're saying I know, and you'll say, I am healthy, 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 and then you'll feel your throat get a little scratchy. What happens there is that that's a thought that can pull us out of the affirmation. And what Reverend Bill has done in his book, he has a step in there where it's called refutation, or it's called denial, where you say it's not. And so if I were saying I am perfect, whole, and complete, and I am healthy, and I feel my sore throat, I would say there is no power in the sore throat. And I would affirm that the energy and power of spirit is healing me now, and that every cell, every muscle, and every tissue in my body is being renewed and renourished and revitalized by the power within me. And so, Bill, can you talk to us, please, a little bit more about this step that are you ready to get results of denial, or as you call, where you refute it?
Yeah, we call it refutation rather than denial, because denial got a really bad rap in psychological circles in the last 20 years.
Okay.
And basically what we're saying, people are talking about, how do I know my prayer is going to get answered? Well, your life, here's the good news and bad news, your life is a topographical map of your belief system. So whatever it is that you believe, that's what you're living. And if you want to live something different, then you change your belief first, and then you get to live a different experience. So what happens in that refutation step is when you say the affirmation, when I say, I am prosperous and I have plenty of money to pay all of my bills, and that little voice, that little thing comes in my ear and says, yeah, but there's nothing in the checking account. That's the cue for me that my belief system is not in accord with the affirmation that I just did. So rather than say, well, I give up, I can't deal with that, what I say instead is, any idea that there's not enough money, that this poverty experience that I've been having is the truth of me, can go back to the nothingness that it came from. That's where I'm changing my belief system. So when I get that little cue, that's when I do the denial or the refutation, because that's the voice that's speaking just about the conditions in my life. So what I want to do is turn my attention to the big picture, which is, if it's in the case of prosperity, it's that God is infinite. God doesn't have to worry about paying the rent. God owns all of the real estate, and God's not going to run out of stars. So how is it that God could populate the sky with galaxies and put leaves on every tree, but not have enough left over for me to make my car payment? That's preposterous. So the denial is, if I'm actually believing that I am one with that infinite power, then I get to claim my birthright, which is a portion of that infinite power, and it's going to be as I believe. So we do the refutation or the denial step, and then we repeat the affirmation. We can do the same affirmation over again. And sometimes we feel clear. Okay, I've now aligned myself with that infinite power, so this is the real deal, and I can speak my truth here. And if we get another voice that says, yeah, but the checking account's overdrawn, then we go through the process again, which is why there's a 2 on that one. It starts with, it's 2. If you need it, you do that 2, and then you do it 2 times, and then you do it squared, and it keeps on going, and you multiply and multiply. You can go through that loop as often as you want until you stop getting a kickback from that little voice, the yeah but.
Yeah, and that's what's critically important. I know there's someone I pray for regularly who has, kidney disease and has heart issues, and I will do the first step, recognizing the amazing power. I am one with it, and then I say, I speak this word for this person, and I declare their health. I declare that they're renewed and renourished and revitalized. But then the thought will come in that, well, they're on dialysis, and that's a challenge. And then I will refute that thought, as you said, refute, and then follow it with an affirmation. And then if another negative comes in, I refute that negative and go back to the positive. And I do it over and over and over until my mind is steeped in the positive. And that's how come sometimes I pray, and it's literally 20 seconds long, and sometimes I pray, and it's 20 minutes long, because sometimes it takes a while to get my consciousness back. Because sometimes the appearance is so big, bad, dark, and ugly that you gotta put your energy out there and get your own mind right.
One of my favorite, very simple and I think basic affirmations is I am happy. And so many times, especially when you're going through something that's really not too happy, people will say, well, I'm not happy. And that's not the case. I think about Janine every time I think about the affirmation, I am happy, because no matter what you're going through, you are at the core of who you are happy. And you can have sadness, you can have disappointment, you can have even despair, but still be happy and get back there so much quicker.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the way the subconscious mind works is it goes on a loop. If you ask it a question, it goes on a mission to answer that question. And so one of the things I've done in the past is I'll walk around saying, why am I so happy? And the universe will seek to answer that question. The subconscious mind will seek to answer the question. And because the universe, God, Spirit is within you, then that'll come forth in your life. Or I'll walk around saying, why is my brother so happy? Why is Christina so happy? Why is Dean so happy? Why is Bill so happy? Why is Vicky so happy? And with the intent of having that mission fulfilled of answering that. That's awesome. It's a neat little technique. That's another technique you can use.
That is awesome.
So with our mnemonic of, are you ready to get results, we've done the first step, which is recognizing there is this amazing energy, intelligence, and power, unifying with it, saying this power expresses through me and as me. The next step is realization, and I know, or I am. And then we discuss that if any negatives come up, we refute them, and then we go back to the positive affirmation. The next step in the prayer is gratitude. And one of my favorite quotes, and I'm sure you've heard me say this, Plato said, a grateful mind is a great mind that eventually attracts great things. Gratitude is this amazing energy. It's like a magnetic energy. And, I always would teach when I taught for Reverend Ike in New York City, Reverend Bill, and I would teach the people that feeling is the fuel that impels your prayer into manifestation. Feeling is the fuel. So if you can build up a sense of gratitude and a sense of energy and say, I am grateful, thank you, universe, that you can manifest like that. It's fantastic. Bill, talk to us about gratitude.
Well, as you were talking about the prayer before these, and you pointed out that it doesn't sound like a lot of prayers that people might be familiar with, because there's no please in this prayer anywhere. In a practical prayer, there's no please, because we're not supplicating ourselves to the infinite and asking if God might say yes or might say no. God's going to say yes. It's according to our belief. But the gratitude is hugely important. That's where we get to act as if we already have what it is that we're looking for. When we can embody and accept the gifts that we're looking for in the prayer, or accept the experience, when we're ready to have the house sell, or to get the perfect parking space, or to have the bills paid, when we're in that alignment with it and we're feeling gratitude for the experience, whether it's shown up in our life yet or not, that's the feeling that we're looking for. Meister Eckhart said, if the only prayer you ever say is thank you, that'll be enough. And that's absolutely true. In a lot of ways, the practical prayer is a setup for that feeling of gratitude for having all of this good in our lives. And as you pointed out, people want to feel happy. What would make you happy? Well, I'd be happy if I had $1 million. Okay, if you didn't have $1 million and you felt happy, would you still need the $1 million? It's like, well, no, I'd just like to be happy. Okay, so the $1 million was an accessory. Now, it'd be nice, but it's not necessary. So we're focusing on the experience we want to have and having gratitude for feeling that experience, for being in the flow of that good. That's the gratitude step, and it's hugely powerful.
Awesome. And the last step of our Are You Ready to Get Results mnemonic is release. And release is when we let go. And Bill, talk to us about release, as you do in your book.
The reason for the release step is there's a lot of people think that they need to hold in their mind, it's going to be mental energy that's making all of this happen, and it's not. What we're doing in the prayer process with the practical prayer is we're aligning ourselves with the power of the infinite. So that's the first two steps, and we're stating our intention for the experience that we're going to have, that the same creative power that's always been doing stuff has been creating, and then with a grateful feeling, we're letting that go. The very, very beginning of Genesis, God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. There's nothing in there, anywhere in the whole rest of the book, about God going back and checking to make sure that the light was still on. That's the same thing that we're doing. We're saying, let this good be, and we're letting it go with the full faith and trust that it is done. And so it is our ability to release it, to let it go, and to know beyond the shadow of a doubt that that's the experience we're having. We let it go and then sit expectantly, allowing the results or the experience to come to us.
Right. We don't go back and wonder and doubt. It's like you plant a seed and it starts to grow in the garden. You don't pick it up and pull it out and go, hey, how's it doing? You let it go and allow the universe, and pay attention to the signs, allow the universe to create through you and as you. I'd like to talk about praying for others. Praying for others. Comment on that for us, Bill.
Interestingly, we can pray for others all the time, and there's a lot of nuance and detail in exactly how we do it. But the whole idea is it's all there in the formula. The first step is to recognize that there's one mind, one power, one presence, one infinite creative source of everything. And in the second step, we acknowledge that we're part of it. Well, since we're all part of that same one power, it doesn't matter where the belief comes from. It can come from me, or it can come from you, or it can come from anybody else. If it's a belief about my prosperity or my health, then I can do the prayer, or you can do the prayer. Right. Now, when I'm praying for Janine's health, I need to make sure that she's in agreement with what I'm praying for. There's an example in the book of the people who are praying that the elder who's very sick isn't going to die, while the elder who's sick and dying is just wanting to let go, and he's done with his life, and he winds up hanging on uncomfortably for an extra couple of weeks because there's that tension and there's that disagreement. So in praying for others, we always make sure that we're praying for in accord with their desires, but then we're able to speak from that place of understanding where we're connected with the same power, but we don't have their doubt.
Right. And
if Janine says, pray for my health, I have no reason to believe that you can't be healthy. You are perfectly healthy, whole, and complete right here and now and always. Bada bing.
Bada bing. And
That's a spiritual phrase.
Bada bing is one of my favorite spiritual phrases is bada bing. I think that it's important that you get people's permission to pray, because a lot of times we think we know what someone should do this or should do that, and I always say don't should on me and don't should on anybody else, because we think we know what's best for another person. We don't. That's why you can always pray for the highest and the best. You can always pray for divine order and divine right action if someone doesn't ask you to pray for them. Matter of fact, it used to be, I remember the phrase called spiritual malpractice. If you were to pray for somebody specifically without their asking. So I can pray for you for divine order and divine right action, but then let it go. Then let it go. We're going to be wrapping up in just a few moments on Spirituality Rocks. And so, Bill, tell the people how they can get in touch with you.
They can get in touch with me. The easy way is to go to newthoughtphilly.org, which is the website for New Thought Philadelphia. There's a link to the book that's on there as well. My website is bethelight.com with hyphens, so it's b-the-light.com. And all the information is on those two websites, including telephone numbers, email addresses, and that sort of thing. I'd love to hear from you.
Fantastic. And his book is Practical Prayer for Real Results. You can get it on Amazon. And I think if you picked it up, it would be a fantastic tool for you to really make these principles of prayer real in your life. And also, Reverend Bill is also available for workshops. So check in with him and see, perhaps he'll come to your neighborhood and give you the workshop that goes with the book, which, as I said, I took and was fantastic. Christina, selling houses, doing a great job. And I love how you match the people with the home. I think that's genius that you do that. Tell us just a little bit more about your work and how we get in touch with you, please.
Well, I'm at Daniel Gale Sotheby's International Realty in Cold Spring Harbor. I represent any of the surrounding areas from Mid-Island all the way up to the Gold Coast. And the easiest way to get a hold of me is Christina Goetjen, Goetjen, at danielgale.com. You can also simply give me a phone call, 917-837-1114.
917-837-1114. Okay, fantastic, fantastic. I want to also remind you there's a lot of great shows on WWW Madhouse TV. My favorite is Monday night is the Maverick Soul Hour with Tommy Marr. He is the Woodstock guru. He is in Woodstock right now. So when he comes back next week, I know it's going to be an absolutely fantastic and spectacular show. Next week, I am thrilled that we are having live in the studio Jody Fisher, two-time World Cup water skiing champion. And also Christina is going to join me. We're all friends, Jody and Christina and I. And Jody's just amazing. We're going to be talking about commitment to excellence. That's the theme for next week's show. And this week, I want to remind you that if you send us a self-addressed stamped envelope to Post Office Box 472, then we will send you a spiritual prescription pad where we talk about affirmative prayer, what it means, and offer you an actual prayer. Our CD is also available on the website, Tunes for Transformation, or you can write to us at Post Office Box 472, Woodbury, New York, 11797. If you need to reach me, if you're struggling, if you're looking for affirmative prayer, if you want to get married, I love to do weddings. That's one of my websites. I love to do weddings. You spell it like you say it. Also, as mentioned, I do crisis work, and I'm also available. I do Celebration of Life memorial services, which have a little different twist than you may be used to, but people really love them, where we can really show a lot of honor, respect, and dignity towards the one who's made their transition. And so, I want to remind you, there is a power within you. You can tap into this power. It takes discipline. It takes determination. It's simple. It really is simple. It's a decision where you say, yes, I want to understand that more about this power, and I want to know how it expresses through me and as me. So I invite you to look up New Thought. Go to the internet, check up New Thought, find a spiritual center near you that teaches these principles, or get in touch with one of us, and we will support you on your spiritual journey as you learn how to think and learn how to live, because to learn how to think is to learn how to live. So thank you for joining this week on Spirituality Rocks.
You know the nighttime is the right time to be with the one you love.